Y'all, we live in difficult times. There's war, political unrest, the pandemic, poverty, families being torn, communities ripped by gun violence and people dying every day. Police, injustice, it's all bringing so much pain. But y'all, we can look inside our minds and we can understand who we are, become better, and do this thing like we've never done it before. But it all starts with our mental health, and I know we can do it. I believe in you because I believe in me, and I believe in us. Hello, and thank everyone for joining in for another episode of Therapy is Life, where thinking, feeling, and experiencing well-being is the real. We are here in the Shore Cultural Center, the big red building in the middle, and we are here and we are excited to have another episode of Therapy is Life. Today is a special episode. It's a really special episode. Are you a fan? Are you a fan? I don't care where you are in the world. Are you in the States? Wherever you may be right now. If you have a favorite team that you love, I know there's been some really good times and there's been some really bad times. Man! And we know that when people experience really disappointing seasons or games or get their heart broken in that last second, oh, it hurts so bad. And some of us will get really angry. Some of us will become very depressed. Some of us will become very anxious. So we want to talk to some Browns fans today. We want to talk to some Browns fans and learn what it's like to be a Browns fan and some of the highs and lows, and how do you cope when things break down in that last second or in that drive or in
Don't say it.
in that drive. How do you cope with it? How do you deal with it? We just want to know. Listen, I know you might not be a Browns fan today, but if you are a fan, you're going to be able to connect and think about your own teams and how they make you feel and how do you go with it. Because some people, they get really upset and they get too aggressive or they drink too much or they do other things they shouldn't be doing. So we just want to explore that a little bit. Is that all right? So I got a wonderful cast here. I got Chester. I have Mike. I have Gina. I have Brian. I gotta ask y'all a question. Are you guys ready?
Yeah,
ready?
Yeah,
yes,
we are.
Right.
Go Browns.
Go
Yes,
Browns.
go
Go
Browns.
Browns. All right. You know, I gotta say this. I never get a chance to say this, but I guess that ain't the right place, but I'm gonna say it anyway. Let's get ready to rumble.
Oh, this is gonna be fun.
Necessary.
So the first question that we're gonna ask is, why are you a Browns fan? And you could be asking yourself, if your team is a team in Italy or in New York or wherever you live at, Florida or Texas, why are you the fan of your team? But I'm gonna ask my panel why they are Browns fans. So, who's gonna be first? So I can start here with Chester. Chester, why are you a Browns fan?
So, I'm a native Clevelander, and was away from me and my older brother to bond. And he really started getting me involved with all of the Cleveland sports, and including the Browns. And 1980 happened to be the first year that I really got invested in the Browns. It was the Cardiac Kid era. And I remember watching the 1980 divisional playoff game against the then Oakland Raiders, who would eventually go on and win the Super Bowl that year. And we were down driving to win the game. And then, of course, everyone was laughing when he's talking about the drive. But anyone who knows anything about the Browns and John Elway, 1986. But this one was Red Right 88, which was the play call that it resulted in a pass being thrown to tight end Ozzie Newsome, where a cornerback by the name of Mike Davis, who usually had steel hands, I heard, jumped the route and intercepted the football in the end zone. And at that moment was my first heartache. And as a 10-year-old kid, I was left in tears. And that began my tortured continual tortured life being a Browns fan. I hate to say.
Man, you know what? You went right to that misery.
And it's
you went
been
right
miserable
to it.
ever since.
You went right to the misery. You didn't. You're a Browns fan. You went right to the misery part of it, man. You didn't even wait. Go ahead.
Right to the misery.
All right. Go ahead, Mike.
My genesis isn't quite as long as Chester's, but mine was passed down from my dad. My dad was a Browns fan. I didn't grow up in Cleveland. I grew up in Northern California, so I have an older half brother who was a huge Niners fan. So while the Niners were winning championships in the '90s, I was preparing for my team to leave in '94. So
Yeah,
it was a strange juxtaposition growing up. Yeah.
That was painful.
it's painful.
Gotcha. I'm so sorry you had to go through that. But you was a Niners fan at some point?
No, never really rooted for the Niners. My dad was a big Joe Montana fan, so when the Browns left,
Great player.
his last 2 years, he played in Kansas City around the time. So we rooted for the Chiefs for the first 2 years that the Browns were gone for a couple years.
Gotcha.
Those teams with Montana and Marcus Allen.
Okay.
Marcus
Yeah, Marcus Allen.
That's my favorite.
USC.
Schottenheimer, the coach there.
Yes, yeah.
Yep. and well, we'll get to that.
So, Gina, what would you say?
I would have to say that I didn't become a Browns fan. I was born a Browns fan.
Oh!
It is in my DNA. One of my first experiences that I remember was at the old Coliseum, right behind a beam. If anybody was familiar with the old
Quite a
Coliseum.
few of those.
So, yeah, it is a part of me as a native Clevelander, and it's a part of actually my daily life and living here, and it gives me something to look forward to. And I believe that I'm not a Browns fan. I am a Cleveland Brown. I'm on that field every
All right
Sunday. I'm at training camp when it starts up. I'm everywhere, so I'm definitely.
So you vicariously lived through the Browns.
I do.
Browns. So you're on the field.
I'm on the field. I'm in it.
Like you get the grass stains.
And they're up under my paws.
Okay, Brian.
Well, ever since 1973, I was born a Browns fan. I mean, heck, my last name is Brown.
All right.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go.
My whole family, my dad, my brothers, all my uncles and cousins, we were all just diehard Browns fans. And, I remember as a kid going to my very first football game, pro football game was the Browns. Just watching the fans and just everyone coming together and just cheering for a team, it's unbelievable. And, growing up that way, growing up in Cleveland, everyone expects you, A, to be a Browns fan, to be an Ohio State fan, too. But, to everyone, I'm not an Ohio State fan.
Don't say it. I'm not good.
I'm not going to do it. But, just growing up here, just like Gina said, I was born a Browns fan. So every Sunday, I got my Browns gear. I have my Browns flag hanging up on the front of our house.
Hoping for the best.
Yeah, just hoping for the best.
So, for the best. When I first came to Cleveland, I did not, the Browns they had recently left, but then they came back. I think they came back in 98? 99. So shortly, a few years after I came here, they came back. And so obviously when I thought of the Browns, I remember, I believe it was Vinny Testaverde and Vinny Testaverde going down to Dallas, and Emmitt Smith was there. And
This Thanksgiving?
like Thanksgiving.
I remember this game.
And the Cowboys being favorite.
I was going to say you had to
But
bring in the
they-
Cowboys.
I remember this
Yeah,
game.
and Emmitt getting stopped right there.
Shorter to go.
line.
Time ran out.
And so I
Beat the Cowboys on Thanksgiving.
on Thanksgiving, I remember that, man. And I felt
Yes.
it hurt so bad. Oh, the pain. But not realizing that, at that time, like how that was going to unfold for me and everything, and I was going to eventually be in Cleveland. But look, I'll tell you one other thing before we move on to the next question about this is that when I was about 13 years old, I was in Norfolk, Virginia, and I was outside washing my dad's car, and I turned the radio on, and when I turned the radio on and I was listening to the radio, I could hear the Cavaliers just as clear as I don't know where. And who's the guy that used to be the
Joe Tate?
Joe Tate. I can hear him. I can hear him saying "wham" with the right
Wham
hand.
with the right hand.
And then, Cleveland was so far away from me. I couldn't imagine ever being, not even thinking about where it was. But here I was in '90. Here I was in '97, and then here was '99. The Browns came back, and it was like, wow, that's about the same time the Panthers. The same time the Panthers, and I was in Carolina, and that was happening around the same time. So it's so interesting. But I've never in my life seen a fan base that was so passionate about their football team. I mean, woo, man, it seems like everything bled orange. Of course, that's one of my favorite colors to wear. But everything bled orange. So boom. But so with that being said, let's talk about some of your high moments being a Browns fan. Let's talk about some of your high moments.
Oh my goodness. Well, that was one.
That was one.
that you alluded to. I was on Thanksgiving in front of a national audience. We beat the Cowboys in Dallas on Thanksgiving. That was definitely one of my higher moments as a Browns
with
fan.
Vinny Testaverde as a quarterback. I just knew, like, oh, the Cowboys.
Vinny Interceptaverde with the. Yes. One of my highest moments as a Browns fan.
I would have to just reel it on back to last year when
That's
the
what I was
highest
gonna
of the high moments we beat Pittsburgh in the playoffs.
In the
which,
playoffs.
by the way, the statistic is that's the last time we're the last team to do that against Ben Roethlisberger in the stadium. And that's a stat. So
in Pittsburgh.
yeah. So I have to hang that there.
Yeah.
Jordan style. Just
No, that was a big one. That was also one of the, and I don't remember the year the last time it happened, but it had been a very long time the Browns had won a road playoff
correct.
game.
Oh, yeah.
That is correct.
Yeah, a very long time. I mean, that even goes even earlier than the Bernie days. I mean,
Yes.
you're going back to the 60s maybe the last time it happened.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. That's right. Anybody else got any?
Yeah, I'm going to agree. I mean, last year, making the playoffs, that was just huge. I mean, we had the talent. We were expected to make the playoffs, and we did. This year, same expectations.
Yeah.
Playoffs.
I've got another one, though, with the new version of the Browns was that year they made the playoffs, and I remember they had a game against Atlanta, and William Green broke off this long run. And I remember this, run, William, run. And that was against a Mike Vick Falcon team. But that game and then some help that we got us into the playoffs. And as elated as I was, the next week, because I think Couch got hurt, Holcomb had to play quarterback. He did a bang-up job. We got a big lead against the Steelers. I thought that was going to be what was last year. And then, of course, we allowed them to come back. To beat us in the wild card game.
Yep, I definitely.
Yeah. So
Anyway,
high than a low.
right there, you already did. Anything you want to add to that?
Well, that 2007 season with Derek Anderson, what they went
Pro Bowl. That's what I
10 and
thought you were
6.
gonna say.
Yeah,
We had
And
like 7.
that came out of nowhere.
That did.
It did.
It did. That
I
was
I
good.
was a
They didn't make the-
DA advocate all the way.
Yeah. They didn't even make the playoffs that year.
No.
They
No.
got clobbered by Cincinnati last week. 5 turnovers.
Yeah, they went on the road to Cincinnati. It was a windy game. Now, some of that I would say maybe was play calling too. As strong as Derek Anderson's arm was, why are you trying to throw so many
That late in
long
the season.
intermediate passes? and
Hey, you
that-
know what? That
Yeah.
kind of still is applies now. We don't
Yeah.
get that we're a running team since that's our makeup. I thought, and we like to toss it in the air.
Yeah, and there's
So,
times when run the football.
Run
That's
the ball.
that's still
Run-
the easiest way to move
run
the
the-
football
yeah,
is to
so-
run it.
Those
If you can
times-
run it, keep running until they stop it.
Yeah.
Right.
Those times are October 15th all the way.
Way
to
back.
Exactly.
Just
Exactly
keep
right.
running it.
Just keep
Yeah.
it.
Thankfully, we've got one of the best runners in football right
Yeah.
now.
We got the
Nick
best
Chubb
running
is a
back
beast.
duo.
Chubba, choo choo.
Yeah.
It's a freight train.
Yeah.
He's so easy to root for too.
Yeah. He's such a
He's a
great
great
guy.
guy.
Great guy. Yeah, gotta love him, man. He's such a character guy. So
Now, do any of you, now since Nick Chubb has his own cereal, Have you had it? I eat it every Sunday.
Wait a
before the
minute.
game.
This is a thing?
Chub
I
Crunch.
didn't
Nick
do
Chubb,
nothing
yeah.
about
Yeah,
this.
Chub Crunch. I have a bowl every Sunday.
So why didn't you bring any?
Oh,
Where can you
Is
find
it in the car?
Right.
it's in my pantry.
We could totally do an infomercial right now.
There you go.
It's pretty good.
All right,
It tastes like Golden Grain.
Give Nick some free advertising.
guys.
Now you got it for life.
I got it for life.
For the rest of the year.
Hey, holla at us, Nick. Holla at us. Yeah. So, what about? And I know you guys been ever since it's been oozing through the dialogue. What about some of your most down moments? We'll start. Brian, we're gonna start with you this time. It's like,
How much time do we have?
Oh man.
You know, I'm just gonna spill it out there. 95 when they left.
Yeah.
I mean, it
That was bad.
was bad. Very bad.
And at that point,
I
we
cried.
never knew that we were going to even get
No,
a
no.
team back. So yeah, that was hurtful.
Yeah, that was so bad. It was bad from 1,800 miles away.
I know.
Yeah, it was bad.
That
was bad.
Yeah. 95 for me when they left.
you know, I was gonna say I remember seeing that on ESPN and seeing the trucks and yeah, like seeing it and
Very sad
Being
day.
ripped off the stage.
yeah, you know, and I can imagine people are actually going through grief around this, like you know, because like you said earlier, you are Brown, so them leaving, like, boom,
It hurt.
And
It really hurt.
Yeah,
I
and
cried. I mean, I was crying. I
yeah,
was really crying.
That was bad.
I feel like we just described why we were fans and we didn't get a say in it.
Right.
Granted, I was like in middle school, but like it's just so abrupt too.
It was
You know what I
bad.
mean?
yeah. It didn't feel like you went to your job and you didn't know, and then you got fired. Like what? Like
Yeah.
it's like,
And you know, and then Baltimore wins the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I was.
That's
gonna say,
our
really,
team.
My low was Art Modell.
That was our team.
Yeah.
yeah. That was
Terrible time.
Yes.
That had to be a terrible time. Anything else you want to add? Because that sounds like anything.
No, that
else
was
you wanna-
bad. That was bad. And then the very first draft they have, they get Ray Lewis and Jonathan Ives.
Nice.
0-16. That was pretty low.
I
That was bad.
thank you for.
0-16.
So-
That was
And we had a
embarrassing
parade.
bad.
And we had
They
a
had a parade.
Actually, I'm gonna be honest. I think that was my low when they had the parade for the 0-16 season. Because that's just not who we are as fans. It might have been what we did as the team, but that's just not who we are as
Yeah, you
fans.
don't celebrate.
Because you don't celebrate loss, though unacceptable and just completely egregious of a season from all 16 games. But
That's that.
yeah, so that was a low for me because it was like even your own fans don't like you, you know, to the rest of the team. It's almost like one of those things. I can talk about my family, but no one else can. But then we
Yes.
talk about our own family, so that was a low for me.
Gotcha. Yeah, I can imagine that. Might be a little bit of reactive formation. So what I do is I present the emotion that I present the emotion as being happy, but I'm really mad and sad, whatever. But I want you to know, yeah, this is great. Sarcasm, and it's, you know, we do that sometimes when it comes to things that we really don't like. But anything else, that's really messed up though. I heard about that. I think I wanted to go down there because in the middle of the winter, right?
Yeah.
I think I wanted to go down there with like some shorts or something on and hardly no clothes and like freeze to death watching them.
That was ridiculous.
I'm trying to think. I know one of my other lows was a draft we did.
Yeah.
Everything on the
Oh,
table.
wow, that's quite a few drafts.
Oh, well, that's what I was
First
gonna
pick
say.
draft, first round picks.
Yeah.
Well,
The Johnny Manziel draft. We
Oh,
was bad.
God, that one was pretty bad.
took Justin Gilbert in the top 10.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
They had another
I mean,
big
Courtney Brown as the overall #1 pick. I mean, that was a bust.
But the thing about Courtney Brown though, which was different from others, everybody felt like he would be that guy.
He
Though.
wasn't. He didn't have the right personality.
When he was too mild.
Yeah, well, I mean, take Myles Garrett for instance.
Okay.
Overall #1 pick. Off the field, he's kind of a calm. He's a different person.
Does he want to be like a paleontologist or something
Yeah,
like that?
I mean, he and he loves dogs. I mean,
Yeah.
he's a
gentle
He's
giant.
a gentle giant off the field.
He's
Yeah.
another one that's really easy
But-
to root for.
But on the field, and I don't know what happened with that Mason Rudolph situation. That one, I'm excited that one thing. But he likes to say on the field he's an animal, and Courtney Brown just could not
didn't
not
translate.
conjure up
No.
Yep.
that inside of him. His teammate LeVar Arrington at Penn State was able to, maybe which we had picked him
Right.
instead, but Courtney Brown was just, the same guy he was off the field was unfortunately is what he was. He had all the physical tools to be a dominant DN, but just didn't happen for him.
Yeah, so I it goes to show how we can have physical ability, but mentally we don't have to be there. And maybe he was tired of playing football.
It's a will and skill.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Sure.
Yeah,
And people don't realize that that's every bit as important as the physical skills. In some ways, almost more important.
exactly.
That you're able to take the gifts, physical gifts that you have, and that you have the will.
But you know who instills that? The coach.
The coach.
Which that's my low. The only coach that I actually really believed in that could drive the team was the coach that they dismissed was Greg Williams. I think that he had him right where we wanted him. Baker Mayfield won 5 games, I believe, under Greg Williams, if I'm not mistaken. And what I saw was just player development.
Yeah. Well, he'd have been a far better coach than what's the dude from Alabama?
Hitchens.
Oh, yeah, Freddie.
Good old Freddie.
Yeah.
That was a disaster.
So you had lost faith in Hugh Jackson?
Oh, I
What was
Sherman.
Sherman? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my
So-
God.
No, I.
The Butch Davis years.
So,
Well, we were rebuilding. Hey,
Come on,
no,
the
come on.
Butch Davis years. Come on.
like how when you think about the coaches, sometimes I wonder about that, and I ask myself the question: was it the coaches was bad, or wasn't enough talent for the coaches to actually do anything with to really make a difference?
In
So now
organizational
you're getting
culture, I
dangerous.
think so many things. Look at Pittsburgh, for instance. Since 1969, they've had, 4 coaches?
Right.
The Browns have maybe had
14.
That's it. You got the number? Is it 14?
Almost.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
That's why I have to just
Yeah.
throw that out there. I think
Yeah.
that coaching definitely is a.
So what do you think about Stefanski? Do you think he's a good coach?
I think he is a good coach, just that good. I don't think he
transcendent.
ignites or transcends to what we need him to be.
He's not Paul Brown.
No, and
He
I
may
mean,
not ever get another Paul Brown.
So he's not fired.
no, you really do need fire because here's the thing, we're a team of penalties. There's some things you just shouldn't be repeat offenders on.
Right.
And if we've had
Offsides. Defensive
well,
offsides.
on both sides, it's
Yeah.
discipline. So when you talk about
That's
a
on coaching.
team, you can name me whoever. Bill Belichick gets whoever, and guess what? They turn into a champion.
You know
Okay.
what? I'm interested you mentioned him. He was the coach that was here when the Browns left.
That is
And they
true.
were right on the precipice
Yep.
of creating something.
Yep.
All of what New England did all of those years could have been the Cleveland
Talk
Browns.
about it. Talk about it.
They went to the playoffs in '94. He beat his protege,
Or so.
Parcells,
Yeah.
who was coaching New England at the time. They lost the divisional round of Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
But they were heading in the right direction. '95 started off favorably. Then the news came out the Browns were leaving and the season was over.
Here's the thing. You give me Josh Gordon with all the was it Josh Gordon, right? With all the pounds of weed he smoked.
Oh, yes. That was Josh
They
Gordon.
gave him a chance. Now, granted, he was just
Yeah.
who he was.
Yeah, he was.
You know, you can't save everybody. Well, I guess what I'm gathering here is that they take chances on you because they know
They believe it.
we believe in you, and we believe in what we got going on here culturally.
Right.
Okay, so this is whatever you did over in Houston or the Browns, you ain't doing it here, and that's what I think the Browns don't have or haven't had yet. Even though we've had the tools or whatever equipment, however you wanna.
They brought in some people in the back. Mike Holmgren, who had
Yep.
storied careers.
Yeah.
Afterwards, came to Cleveland,
Came to
lost their
Cleveland.
minds. It just
It's
That was
interesting,
the
isn't
homework.
it?
That's right.
so strange.
Well,
It's crazy. I
Who
mean,
was it after? Josh
John Dorsey,
John Dorsey,
after
yeah.
was that immediately after Holmgren?
I believe
Yeah, they
so.
changed so much. I can't
believe
even-
I know. I can't even go through the list.
You had
I can't
Krasinski,
even go through
just the offensive coordinator from 07.
Romeo Cornell.
Came back.
Romeo.
Romeo Cornell.
The
Just
teddy
got
bear.
all of his guys. I mean,
So let me ask y'all something.
Yeah.
So being in Cleveland and evolving in my interest in the Browns, and sometimes being a person coming into the city and listening to it, how much of what's going on with the cycle of coaches is this urgent pressure from the fan base to have a winner right now, and so now the ownership is always trying to react to this ever-present feeling that they have to do something to change, and so they don't. Where like when you look at the Steelers, they have this stable story. People, there's this emotional investment, so they have this emotional bank account where there's some security, so they can kind of stick things out. Where the Browns, as soon as you look like you bad and you're not going nowhere, oh, it's time to change the coach, it's time to make this move, and now they're constantly doing that, and they're not allowing anything to happen where there's any kind of patient process.